Hello, come and sit for a while. Listen to this tale. There is a kind of cleverness that many admire at first, especially in a world where speed and advantage often feel more important than patience and trust. And there is a kind of intelligence that can solve problems quickly, find shortcuts, and stay one step ahead of others. But there is also a quiet truth that most only understand after time has already passed. Not every victory gained through trickery is actually a step forward. In a deep forest lived a fox who believed he understood this better than anyone else. He was quick, observant, and always watching for an opportunity. But more than that, he believed that effort was optional if one was clever enough. Why struggle when you can outthink? Why share when you can take? Why build trust when you can manipulate the moment instead? The fox moved through the forest with confidence. When the rabbit stored food, the fox found a way to take it without being seen. When the birds gathered information, the fox listened closely and used it for his own benefit. When the deer traveled in groups for safety, the fox would create confusion or false warnings, causing them to scatter, leaving openings for him to benefit from their disorder. Each time he walked away believing he had proven something, that intelligence was superior to cooperation, and that others were simply too slow to understand the game being played. At first, the forest still tolerated him. Animals continued their routines, though more cautiously. But over time, something subtle began to change. Conversations stopped when he appeared. Warnings were no longer shared in his presence. Food stores were hidden more carefully. Paths once traveled openly became guarded with silence. The fox did not notice at first, or perhaps he did not care. In his mind, distance from others was not a loss. It was protection from their naivety. So he continued. Another trick, another deception, another small gain that felt like a victory. But what he did not see was that each act was cutting invisible threads between him and everything else in the forest. Trust, once broken, does not vanish loudly. It disappears quietly, piece by piece, until one day you realize it is gone. Then came a season when the forest changed. Food became harder to find. Shelter was more important. Survival required cooperation more than cleverness. The fox, as always, turned to his usual methods. He approached the rabbit first, pretending to warn him of danger, offering guidance in exchange for following him. But the rabbit simply looked at him without fear or anger, only understanding, and said nothing. The rabbit remembered, and he turned away. The fox tried the birds next, offering false safety in exchange for their guidance. But the birds did not respond. They had already learned that his words rarely matched his intentions. He tried the deer, but they moved deeper into the forest together, away from where he stood alone. For the first time, the fox realized that his intelligence no longer opened doors. It had closed them. Days passed, then more. The fox could still hunt, but every attempt required more effort, more risk, and more time than before. There were no warnings from others, no shared knowledge, no cooperative safety. The forest had not changed against him. He had simply removed himself from its support system, one decision at a time. One night the fox sat beside a quiet stream. The water was still, and in it he saw his reflection. He expected to see the same confident, clever creature he believed himself to be. Instead, he saw something different. He saw solitude, not strength, not mastery, just distance, just separation, just the result of many small choices that had all pointed in the same direction. And in that silence, the fox finally understood something he had spent his life avoiding. Intelligence can help you take, but it cannot guarantee you will belong. Cleverness can help you win moments, but it cannot secure your place among others when those moments are gone. He had spent so long outsmarting everyone around him that he never realized the cost was not measured in what he gained, but in what he lost access to. And by the time he understood, there was nothing left in the forest willing to be part of his victories. So the fox remained by the stream, not as a legend of cleverness, but as a reminder that when every advantage is taken at the expense of others, eventually there is no one left to stand beside you when the advantages run out.